What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Apex AMA. I'm your host, Lawton Ho, here with Verified Investing, and I go live every single day that the markets are open from 12:30 to 1:15 to answer your questions. How's everybody doing? What's going on? How's everybody doing? It is Wednesday, right? So happy Wednesday to everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. As always, if you want to leave your questions, you can click this link down below, scan this QR code, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you guys have. What's going on, guys? You can always scan that QR code or visit the Verified Investing homepage to ask a question. I'd be more than happy to answer them. So, what's going on, guys? What questions do you guys have for me today? Let's see. Okay, let's hop right into it. Israel says, what's the outlook for KSS? Let's hop into it right away. Outlook for KSS. So for KSS, here's what I think on Kohl's. You had a nice push up, kind of a meme play, right? And falling down. Here's where I expect to bounce around $10.43. I'm assuming that we're going to get a bounce on that level around $10.43. See, Dan says, hey, from Canada. What's going on, Dan? Hope you're doing well. Looking to see what's going on with HPS or AC, both on TSX on Toronto. Okay, let's take a look. HPS, Hammond Power on Toronto Stock Exchange. Again, not a stock I'm familiar with. This I would consider this a smaller company, but again, it is the Toronto Stock Exchange, so I'm not totally sure how let's see. You have an upsloping trend line there, but you have a better one up here. A nice upsloping trend line. A break could be the beginning of a bear flag. Down move and sideways upward consolidation. Yeah, that looks pretty bearish to me. I would short somewhere around here. See what else we got. AC, also on the Air Canada, okay. Bear company, almost $6 billion company. So I'm assuming that these are okay numbers for okay. I'm like blanking. Good enough volume. Okay. So anyways, I'm like just talking to myself. So look at this. What does this look like, guys? A potential head and shoulders pattern forming on Air Canada. And if you take a look at this, nice bounce could be the beginning of a head and shoulders pattern. Shoulder, head, and potential shoulder depends on the move up. And let's see that measured move from that level. Where is that likely to end? That's likely to come down to here, around 27% down. Right? Is that likely to happen? I mean, not necessarily, right? If we take a look, zooming on the charts, it's at the kind of at the lower end of the chart, right, on Air Canada. So I would say that, and what do we know about head and shoulders patterns, bearish, bullish channels, bearish, bullish, bearish signals? Well, let's go like this. bear signals at the lows of the charts or the lower end of the charts are less likely to play out than they are at the higher end. Tina says, hello, Lawton. What's up, Tina? So happy to see you. Hope you're doing well. We've missed you. Nathan says, I noticed that Tesla has dropped a bit this morning. Looking for any fresh views of where you think it's heading. Also, I jumped on QS after this morning's RSI show with Benjamin, wondering about an exit target. So for me in Tesla, and I had written an article about this. Oh, pardon me. On this is a beautiful, beautiful wedge on Tesla, kind of trading in between this wedge, getting closer, and look what I've drawn. How to play this. If it breaks up, you can enter either on the break of that trend line or a retrace to that trend line, and then look for a move higher. Break down, same thing. Look for a breakdown. Look for a retrace to that upsloping trend line, and then look for a move lower. And I just want to say, for all of you guys who are joining me, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. If you're interested in asking questions, make sure to go to the Verified Investing homepage, submit your question, and don't forget to like, comments, and share this on your social media profiles, and hit a subscribe. Give us a subscribe on the subscription on the Verified Investing YouTube channel. Again, your positive comments, your likes, all of that stuff helps us know, helps my overlords know that you enjoy this type of content from me. So, all right, let's keep hopping into it. Also, on QS, yep. QS, I believe on the show with Ben, he gave a stop out level. So you might have been stopped out. I'm not totally sure. Like, he would have given you his plan. As I'll tell you what my plan would be. If I got in along on this, I'd look for an exit around $9, maybe the upper end of $9, probably. Yusuf says, hi, Lawton. What's up? Yusuf. Gear still has an XRP short. Okay. An XRP short. I just bounced off support at 304. Okay. Let me do this on a different chart. Bounced off support around 304. Okay. Is now almost 315. Do you think it can continue to go lower? Yes, I'm bearish on XRP. I just shorted it. What did I draw here? Head and shoulders pattern, potentially. A small one, right? Shoulder, head, shoulder. Still valid though. Head and shoulders pattern. And look where it bounced. Look where it bounced. Look at that. Where did it bounce? Basically off of this trend line. That measured move lower would be a move down. Let's go like this. I feel off today. Don't know what it is. Maybe my brain is malfunctioning. 26% down would be that measured move on this head and shoulders pattern on XRP. So am I still bearish? Are we still bearish? We are. Luis sent a chart. Let's take a look. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Yes, correct. On Carvana, yeah, that's a. Let me turn off the view app. Up here, okay. So I'm just tracking one of my day trades. For Carvana, you're saying there's a potential head and shoulders pattern. This is the right shoulder. Where's the head? This is the head. I'm looking for the shoulder like this, I guess. Nah, I don't. I'm trying to find this. and shoulders pattern that you've drawn. It's a smaller one. This is the head. Okay, I see it now. Shoulder, head, shoulder, potentially. But this down sloping trend line, I'm actually bullish on this. Looks kind of bullish, not gonna lie. Like this downwards consolidation favors a move up. Considering it's still off of its highs, right? It's still down. You're talking still down 12% from its highs. It could go higher. I do think I would be a buyer here at 306. Pardon me. $3.06 is where I'd probably be a buyer of Carvana. Maybe for a short term, maybe for a day trade, maybe for a bounce. Yusuf says, "How long? What are your views on silver?" Haven't talked about silver in a while. Let's take a look. Silver just bounced off the support of 37.50 today. This pivot low. Yep, this pivot low is the area it bounced off of. You think we're in an uptrend now? No, I think this is still bearish. It's still like a potential head and shoulders pattern, albeit a small one. Right, could be like shoulder, head, shoulder. Right, I don't really like that right shoulder, but still technically valid. Measured move down on silver would be down 4.8%, just above 5%. So I'm bearish on silver. Otani over under 4.5 strikeouts tonight. Who is he pitching against? They're coming to Tampa on Friday and Saturday. I'm going to both of those games. Today, they're playing against Cincinnati. Oh, yeah, because I saw clips of him talking to Ellie De La Cruz. Cincinnati good. They're 56-52. Over under 4.5 Ks. I bet the under. For strikeouts, yeah. Vaughn says, "Hi, Lawton. DA just allowed SRPT to continue distributing elevates. Would now be the time to buy." You don't really want to buy something after the move is done, right? After it's already gone up 36%. I'm not interested. I don't like chasing, right? It's FOMO, right? And with FOMO, it's just a rug pull. Like whoever can get out first whoever can get out first wins, right? You keep buying and it keeps going up until someone rug pulls. No, I'm not interested. Lee says, "Lon, I know you don't like trading stocks into earnings, but I sold calls on Carvana 355, 370 expiry, 815. I think I should hold these as Carvana pops to the upside on 363. I'll keep my promise. If Carvana falls, I'll make more." Yeah, I think it's earnings are today, right? So I'm not touching it, but I would say this favors a break back up to the upside. But it's still high. Like, look at this. Talked about it earlier. It's still up 126% in like a couple months. So should pull back at some point. But we just got to see how their earnings are. Sarah says, "How are you, Lawton?" I'm good, Sarah. How are you? Always nice to see you. XLM, how many times should the candles close beneath? In XLM, how many times should candles close beneath the neckline? Trend lines to confirm. Should the head and shoulders be drawn by the wicks? The bodies, I draw wicks. I do wicks. Where's your head and shoulders? I can see an inverse head and shoulders, but I don't see a regular head and shoulders. But this is, I saw this down move, kind of a bear flag, and then potential roll over in this. Let me take a look at your chart that you sent me. I feel like the energy is low. Shoulder, head, shoulder. That's what you mean. And this upsloping. Okay, I got you. And that measured move is only down to about 36 cents, right? For me, I don't love it. I don't love this head and shoulders pattern, but I do think it favors a move lower. My target would be around 36 cents as well. So pretty much where the head and shoulders went to. But yeah. Queenie says, hey, Lawton, what's up, Queenie? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great day. Happy Wednesday. Do you guys work in the office in Tampa? If I'm in Tampa, can I buy a day pass sometime and come visit? Yeah, we're in. We are in Tampa. We're in Clearwater. I live in Tampa, but we're in Clearwater. But yeah, we've definitely had members drop by, even without buying day passes. Again, our office is not that big, but I mean, we've definitely had members come in before, drop by and say hello. In fact, one of our members dropped by, just wanted to say that he really liked us, and he is now becoming a junior trader. We just bring him on board in September, I believe. September to be a junior trader full time. But yeah, if you're in the area, we always like seeing and meeting members, like putting faces to names. Sarah says, how are you, Lon? XLM got you. Answer that. XRP bounce off support. Do I think it's going to go lower? Yes, I've answered some of these questions. I got to go quicker because some of these questions are for a bit longer ago. Sorry about that. Wes says, thank you, Lawton, for all your insight. Of course, Wes, thank you for being here all the time and asking your questions. I really appreciate it. Think it means a lot that you would want to spend your time listening to what I have to say. Right? That means a lot to me. Because in my mind, I'm like, why should this guy care? Why should anyone care what I have to say? But it means a lot that you value that. All right. Let's take a STLA. Here's my chart. Let's take a look at your chart. Thank you for sending that in. If I don't get to your question, it's because I'm reading the questions in the order they were asked. If this question was asked at 12:33. So if you've asked your question since then, there's a reason why you weren't that's why I haven't got to your question yet. Just bear with me a moment. STLA, thoughts on STLA? Stellantis had earnings, not the best earnings, but not that bad. It's kind of a thinly traded stock. Yeah, I see that. I like that trend line that you have drawn here. Nice little trend line. Have kind of a wedge that it's trying to break, that it kind of bouncing off of the lower end of. But for me, I mean, if I had to pick, I would be bullish on this just because it's so far down on the charts. You're talking about, when was the last time it was traded down at this level? You're talking about COVID lows, right? That's the level it's at right now. So let's see if we have any data, any information. You have a gap fill here, could provide support, and you have the all like COVID lows down here on. So these are two levels that I would 100% definitely be interested in entering a potential position long on STLA. I generally, especially when stocks have earnings, right? When they're down off of something like earnings, I tend to be a little bit more conservative. A little bit more conservative. But yeah, as far as my entries. Wes says, can you show how on TradingView that you use that measured thing when you do a measured move, measure, grab it line, and move it line to another part? I have no idea what you just said, Wes. I have no idea what you just said. I don't know what that means. Can you show on TradingView how you use that measuring thingy to do a measured move when you measure, grab it, move the line to another part of the chart? I would love to help you, but I would need to understand what you said first. So keep your questions coming, and I'll be happy to answer that. Tina says hello, Lon. What's up, Tina? I've been gone for a while. I miss you at 8:30, but I have to go back and watch you at a different time. So this is the reason I'm not here. It's all good, Tina. No problem. I definitely understand. Can you go through a rundown on how your day starts for stay? Can you go through a rundown on how your day starts out so us newbies know how to start our day? Perhaps you need to write a course as to what a trading day looks like in Lawton's world. Have a blessed day, Tina. Thank you so much for your kind words, Tina. Not a problem. But yeah, so for my trading day, here's how it normally starts. Get up. I check the charts on my phone while I'm brushing my teeth or whatever. I'm checking the pre-market action. I already know what stocks had earnings the day before. Like I know that Visa had earnings. I know that Booking.com had earnings yesterday. So I know that stocks had earnings. So I'm just checking to see if prices have moved significantly. And then I'll check what earnings are this morning, right through an earnings calendar. I drive to the office, get to the office a little bit early, and then go through my checklist. And I just go through some of these stocks, like, oh, what are these stocks doing? You know, like, is anything close to my levels? Is anything trading near there? What are potentially good day trades? That's kind of how I started, right? Of course, I always start my day for the most part looking at the S&P, trying to see how it is doing, because that's just how you get a pulse of the overall market. You see that beautiful trend line that I had drawn is where S&P seems to have fallen from, but we'll see. We have the Fed meeting at 2:30, so remains to be seen if that's the level. Spencer says, I have a short position on USO. Do you still see it as a bear flag? USO, no. I don't. I think it's this move up has negated it. In order, it would have to have broken this trend line, right? Broken it well. Like I would have been like, this is super bearish. Because look, it's bounce, kind of opened below it, but closed above, bounced above it again, bounced above it again. Then it became resistance. Tried to move up, pulled back. This is bearish, but then gapped up again, fell down, closed below. This is what I like to see. If I saw another red candle here, that would, in my mind, start the short. But look where it opened. It opened up here, pulled back right perfectly to this trend line, is pushed higher. My next level of resistance on this, you could consider this pivot high in USO around $83.58. You also have this gap fill up here on $84.35 for a short. These are two levels that USO could pull back. Wes says the measuring tool question. You use a tool to calculate, say, a down move, and you use a tool on TradingView to draw a line from the high to the low drop, and then you grab that line with your mouse and move it to another area of the chart to calculate where a similar drop in price would be. You're talking about head and shoulders patterns. Okay, let's do that. Got it. Let's look at Bitcoin. Okay, so I'm gonna delete some lines. Inverse head and shoulders pattern here on Bitcoin that played out earlier that I talked about previously in my AMA. This is the inverse head and shoulders pattern. The measured move of the inverse head and shoulders pattern or the head and shoulders pattern is the move from the head, the top of the head, right? I'm pulling it from the top of the head to that trend line, right? And the way I'm magnetizing it is if I just click here, it's going to draw a line from here. But if I have this and hold down the control key on my keyboard, it'll take it to the lowest pivot or the highest pivot, wherever my mouse is. So let's say we take the lowest pivot, and then I'm going to press shift to make sure that it goes straight up. I'm going to draw it straight to that trend line. And then I just drag that line to the break of the trend line, and that's how I find the measured move. So I did get a short alert on Humana. Wow, look at this. Nice move up on Humana. Only pulled back 0.5%. Wouldn't really have been enough for me. But wow, look at that level. Michael says, hi Lon, please check SPX USDT. Okay, SPX USDT. Do you think we have a big inverse head and shoulders? Ooh, yeah, it is. I guess not, actually not really. It's not. Yeah, it's not. You're talking about this, right? Yeah, no, it could be a cup and handle pattern though, which is pretty much just as bullish, which is also super bullish, right? Something like something like this, right? The reason why it's not an inverse head and shoulders pattern is because a shoulder needs to have the other side of the shoulder, right? This needs to go here, but it doesn't have that. Actually, okay, here's a teachable moment. I always forget about these things. Okay, for this left shoulder, for any head and shoulders pattern, you need to be able to connect the shoulder to something else, but it's not there. It's just droopy, right? If price action went up to here, then you could connect the full shoulder. But anyways, super bullish, cup and handle pattern, pretty rounded bottom, and you're looking at a measured move of 87%. But that's a super bullish pattern there. Not inverse head and shoulders. Wes, I hope my measuring question made sense. If you guys have more questions, go to the verifiedinvesting.com website or scan the QR code to ask your questions. And thank you so much for joining me, guys. BR Brew says, good morning from Toronto, Canada. Good morning. I was just talking about it in the live day trading room. I've never been to Vancouver, but I have been to Toronto. And I do like Toronto. Everyone is so nice. Very pleasant. A lot of Asian people there. I don't have that many Asian friends, so going there is like a bunch of Asian people. Thoughts on RZLV? Resolve. Ah, man, this is not a stock I would trade. It's under $1 billion market cap, so it's really, really small now. Had this nice down-sloping trend line I broke out of. This one as well. Don't love it. Could be potentially making a head and shoulders pattern. It just depends on if this right shoulder does anything. Regardless, you have a nice upsloping trend line that should it break, you would expect some downside, right? However you want to draw it. Right, however you want to draw it. There is this upsloping trend line. That could be the possible head and shoulders pattern. If you see it continue to move up and then a fall, that's likely what you're looking for. But I wouldn't touch this, to be honest. VZLA. Silvercorp, $1 billion company. It's closer to its high, so it makes sense that it would have a fall. Let's see here. Again, similar thing. Potential formation of a head and shoulders pattern. Let's see if it can make a right shoulder, right? Potential formation of a head and shoulders pattern. But again, it'd be hard for me to give you any sort of guidance on this because I would not trade either of these stocks. It's a little too small for me, a little too volatile. But if you have any other questions, Brew, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Lawton, when we have such a big pattern on SPX, do you look for weekly confirmation? I look for confirmation in the time frame that I'm analyzing it in. You could use weekly, right? Close above. You could look for weekly confirmation. You can look for a retrace and a buy long on the retrace, right? You could do either of them. Let's see here. Sam says SMCI resistance and support and resistance levels. Yeah, it ran into resistance level earlier. We could have shorted it. For me, 66.51, that's the only place I find resistance. Yeah, you had this previous top here. That's where it kind of pulled back from 62.50. Got real close to that. But yeah, right here, the 66.51 is the level that I'm likely to short SMCI on a pullback. As far as a long for support, it seems SMCI is pretty volatile. You see I have this beautiful upsloping trend line that should break. I'm expecting a bigger fall. You could see right here, nice little bounce here, $54.54 for about 11% gain. 11%, it moved lower, I mean. You also have another gap fill down here around $49.82, around 19% lower that you could target for a bounce. All right, let's see what you got for me, Tina. Do you use different accounts for day trading and swing trading accounts? If so, why? Yes, I do. And let's turn this into a teachable or quintessential question. All right. The reason why I have different accounts for swing trading and day trading. Let's say I'm bearish on SMCI. I think it's going to pull back. I don't know where it's going to do that. Well, I'll short it on the swing side, right? But if it comes down here, 5% in a day, right? I might go long right here for a day trade, expecting a bounce, playing a bounce, looking for a couple percent bounce, right? But I can't do that really if I'm already in the trade for swing long, right? So I need to have two different accounts. Okay, that's why I have two different accounts. I don't know what's happening with my phone. I think I said something to Siri and it just went crazy. All right. I'm going to be live for the next 10 minutes. So if you guys have any additional questions, send them in while I read Tina's question. I know you just answered my question briefly. How would you get a little more detailed? How do you start your trading day? Exactly why. That's why I think you should write a course, maybe give some coaching. Maybe I missed it, but some days I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. No problem. No problem, Tina. I mean, it's important to look at, like, if you want to have okay. Let me drink some water and then get this out. Let me bring some energy too. All right, next crack, back crack. We're good. Imagine this, okay? Imagine every single day you open up your trading brokerage, wherever you are, on your phone, on your computer, every single day. It's like another battle. Like you are going in to fight, right? And I know that sounds dramatic because you could be in your boxers, your underwear, your pajamas, just on your laptop, on the couch, even in bed you could trade. But I need you to get that out of your head mentality-wise. You are in a war zone, right? You're in a war zone against a big opponent, right? Big opponent. You have all the algorithms. You have all the huge players, right, that are coming against you, right? So before you go in, do you want to go in naked? Not particularly, right? Unless you're into that. But you want to go in prepared, right? You want to have weapons and armor and a plan. It's the same way for trading, right? Every single day before I step into the trading room, before I take a trade, before I hop on the microphone every single morning, I have a plan. I've looked at the charts and I'm prepared and know what I'd like to do. Now, some days you can't always do that. But if that's the case, right? If you were going into a battle, right? If you're in the war zone and you could fight any individual, let's say it's individual battles, right, against other people, which battles would you pick? You would pick the battles that you have the highest likelihood of winning in, right? You'd want to know as much information about your opponent as possible. You'd want to have the best armor and weapons, right? You'd send an advanced scout team out to kind of learn about how your opponent acts. It's the same exact way for trading. Before I trade a stock in the morning, before I trade SMCI, what am I doing? I'm not just getting in at an arbitrary level. No, I'm looking at the charts, determining levels of support and resistance. Specifically for day trading, I might go back, look at the extended trading hours, saw, okay, what was the lows? Well, the lows were somewhere around here, right? It could get a bounce around this 58.60 level. Where are the lows from yesterday? Basically around $58. That could be a good long level. What were the highs of yesterday? Highs of yesterday was right here on $61.50. Could provide some resistance. So maybe I'll short it there. I go in with a plan. I prepare myself. And I look at more than one stock. And imagine the S&P is like your compass, right? It lets you get a pulse on the overall markets. S&P up, likely most things are up or flat, right? S&P is basically flat, so it's like most things should be around neutral, right? There's also things like the QQQ, which helps you understand a little bit more about tech stocks if they're up or down, all right? So every single trade is a battle, and it's important for you to be properly prepared to fight and hopefully win, right? If you're just picking random stocks to trade, it's like fighting random people, fighting random battles. Yeah, you're going to win some, or you might win some big, right? But, likely, but it's just a toss up. It's just gambling. And I'm not in the business of gambling. If I wanted to gamble all day, I'd go to the casino. That's what the casino's for. At least it's more fun, right? But anyways, I hope that makes sense. Christina says, hi, Lawton. Can you take a look at CoreWeave? Absolutely. And you sent another one I'll take a look at afterwards as well. CoreWeave coming down. Wow, look at that. My level for a long was actually hit. I think this gap fill is up here. No, wasn't hit. Wow. Wow, look at that. 102.72. That's where I expect to bounce on CoreWeave. It got within 13 cents of that level. Did bounce decently, 0.5%. Not that much, but that's where I expect to bounce on CoreWeave. On CoreWeave. What else do I got? KNSO. Kinsale Capital Group coming down. Here's my level of support right here, about $439. I'm anticipating a bounce there. Also, further support down here, so you can enter along here if you'd like. You can add 4% lower. You can also add down here at this pivot low. I'm just going to draw my levels of support for you. I like playing gap fills, as you guys know. So hopefully, Christina, taking a look at this, you can see some levels that you're anticipating a bounce. So just under 439, around 426.25, just under 420, and just under $409 are levels that I could see Kinsale catching a bid, right? Catching a bid. Stock Trading Diary said, thoughts on SEDG move today? SEDG, yeah, amazing move up. Let's hear the news. Agreement for American manufacturer. Okay, so this is in hopes that they can get another grant, strategic from the U.S. government. So this is pretty good news. Solar Edge, is so beaten down from its highs. Look at this. From its highs in the 2021-2022 area, down 92%. Wow. Down significantly. For me, if it can break this upsloping trend line, downsloping trend line, it would likely be bullish. But something to note, there is unfortunately the beginning to form a head and shoulders pattern, right? Should that break, you could see a move lower. However you want to draw the head and shoulders pattern, and of course it's very premature, not fully formed yet. You'd likely see a move down around 33%. Not likely, that's just the measured move, is 33% lower, right? Now, do measured moves always play out? No, usually not, but they can. We have about 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. And that connection disconnected is, oh my God, it's so annoying. Don't know what's happening. All right, we're good for now. Alex says, where do you see levels on CDE? On CDE, core mining. What do they mine? I think someone's touching my computer out there. Upsloping trend line. Head and shoulders pattern, potentially. Not quite this. It would be closer to this, right? Something like this. Wow, look at this beautiful trend line, guys. Head and shoulders pattern. Wow, looks bearish to me. Let's take a measured move for that. I'm like focused. That measured move is about 13% lower. I would target something somewhere around here for a bounce. So you could short it on a break of this trend line and look for around 9% profit. Take profit around $8.09, somewhere around there on CDE. Mars says Solana just made head and shoulders. What do I think? Yes, I agree. And I had it in my charts. And the measured move on Solana would be somewhere around 18% lower. I agree. Had that yesterday. Cool, we're running out of time. This is going to be my last question. Cool says, hi, Lawton. What's up, Cool? Or Cool. Sorry for butchering that. I find difficult when to take profits. Like how much bounce to expect when a stock hits support. Do you have a minimum percent to book for profits? No, I'm not in it for a minimum percent. I don't care about this or that. I'm not interested in that. For me, I'm looking for a bounce or a pullback. Okay. Bounce or pullback whenever there is support or resistance. Okay. I'm going to look for levels that I think that the stock is going to reverse, and that's where I'm going to take profits. Whether it's 50% away, I'm not going to hold it to 50%. Whether it's 9% away, 6% away, 1% away, whatever it is, right? I am not looking for, because when you try and say I have to take 6%, 10% on every single trade, right? Then you're pigeonholed. You're pigeonholed, and you're like, that's it. And if you do that, you can get consistent, but you'll miss out on moves that are greater than and moves that are smaller than, right? And let's say, even though you're looking for 10%, it's the measured move is only 8%. Take that 8%, man, right? Because what's going to happen, it'll come down, and then let's say it bounces up and you're out of the money. When you're in the money 8%, that is how I find my levels for taking profits or taking trades off the table. Tina says, thank you, Lon. You are a great young man. Still consider writing a small beginner course, Tina. Yeah, thank you so much, Tina. Definitely will consider that. Anyways, guys, wow, it's 1:17. I've stayed way too long. Have a great day, guys. I got to get out of here. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, my name is Lawton Ho here with Verified Investing. I do this every single day, every day from 12:30 to 1:15 or 1:17 as it is right now. If you have any additional questions, feel free to send them to me on Twitter at Lawton Investing. I'll be happy to answer them. I'll see you guys tomorrow and the day after that. So have a great day. Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.